You're not behind. God is not finished. There's a quiet fear many believers carry, but rarely say out loud. It sounds like this: I should be further by now. You've been praying. You've been faithful. You've tried to do things God's way, and yet life doesn't look the way you hoped it would by this point. If you're silently wondering whether you missed your moment, whether time is running out, or whether God is still working in your story, stay with me until the end of this video, because the Bible reveals a truth that changes everything. You are not behind, and God is not finished with you. Intro. You feel it quietly, don't you? Not always in loud moments of panic, but in the still spaces of your life, when the noise fades and the questions start to speak. That subtle weight that whispers, I should be further by now. Others seem to be moving forward while you are standing still. Doors you hoped would open remain closed. Prayers you prayed with tears still feel unanswered. And without realizing it, you start measuring your life by clocks God never created. But hear this carefully, and hear it slowly. You are not behind. Not in God's eyes. Not in His plan. Not in His purpose for your life. We live in a world that rushes everything: success, healing, calling, relationships, breakthrough. It celebrates speed and shames waiting. And if you're not careful, that pressure seeps into your faith. You start believing that God works on deadlines, that His promises expire, that His silence means He moved on to someone else. Yet Scripture shows us a God who is never anxious, never late, and never confused about where you are right now. Even if your life feels paused, unfinished, or unclear, God is not standing still. He is not staring at the calendar with disappointment. He is not comparing your progress to anyone else's. He sees what you cannot see. He is working in places deeper than results, shaping things stronger than appearances, preparing you for moments you are not ready to step into yet. It can feel true that some of the most important work God does happens in hidden seasons. Seasons where nothing seems to change on the outside, but everything is being formed on the inside. Seasons where faith is built, character is strengthened, and dependence on Him becomes deeper than dependence on outcomes. You may feel delayed, but God calls it preparation. You may feel forgotten, but heaven knows your name. This message is for the one who feels late, tired of waiting, and quietly afraid that time is running out. It is for the one wondering if they missed their moment, if their best days are already gone. Let this truth settle into your spirit. God does not abandon His work halfway. He does not start stories He doesn't intend to finish. And no matter where you are right now, your life is not an exception to His faithfulness. You're not behind. God is not finished. Number 1. God's timing is not human timing. There is a deep frustration that comes from feeling out of sync with life. You do the right things, you pray, you wait, you try to stay faithful, and still the timeline in front of you refuses to move the way you hoped it would. But the Bible consistently reveals a truth we often resist. God does not measure time the way we do. We live by calendars, ages, deadlines, and milestones. God lives by purpose, and purpose is not rushed. When God made a promise to Abraham, He did not fulfill it quickly. Decades passed. Years of waiting, years of wondering, years where nothing seemed to happen except aging bodies and unanswered questions. From a human perspective, Abraham looked behind. From God's perspective, everything was unfolding exactly as planned. The delay was not wasted time. It was necessary time. Faith was being built. Trust was being stretched. Dependence on God was being deepened. God's timing is never random. It is intentional, precise, and wise. What feels slow to you is often God protecting you from stepping into something too early. Some blessings are heavy. Some callings are costly. Some doors require strength. maturity, and faith you don't yet possess. If God opened them before you were ready, they would crush you instead of bless you. Waiting does not mean you are doing life wrong. It often means God is doing something right. Scripture shows us again and again that God works through seasons. There is a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to prepare and a time to step forward. And the planting season never looks like progress. It looks like buried seeds, silent soil, and patience. But no farmer panics when nothing shows above ground. They trust what is happening beneath the surface. Right now, you may feel like nothing is changing, but that does not mean nothing is happening. God's work is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. He is aligning people, shaping circumstances, healing wounds, correcting motives, and strengthening faith, all before the moment you think you're waiting for even arrives. You are not late. You are not off schedule. You are not forgotten. You are simply living in God's time, not yours. And God has never missed a moment. Number 2, delay does not mean denial. One of the most painful lies we believe is that unanswered prayers are proof that God said no. That silence means rejection. That delay means disinterest. But the Bible paints a very different picture of God's heart. God often says not yet, because he sees what you cannot see. Think of Joseph. He had dreams given by God himself, clear, powerful visions of a future filled with purpose. Yet instead of promotion, he experienced betrayal. Instead of elevation, he endured imprisonment. Years passed with no explanation. From the outside, it looked like God had denied the promise. But heaven had not forgotten a single detail. The delay was not a denial. It was development. God was shaping Joseph's character before trusting him with influence. He was teaching him humility before granting authority. He was refining his faith in hidden places so that when the moment came, Joseph would be ready not just to receive the promise but to steward it well. Delay is often God's mercy in disguise. There are prayers God does not answer immediately, because the answer requires more than excitement. It requires endurance, more than desire. It requires wisdom, more than faith. It requires surrender. If God gave you everything the moment you asked, you might gain the blessing but lose your soul in the process. Sometimes God delays because he is protecting you from settling for less than his best. Sometimes he delays because the timing affects more than just you. And sometimes he delays because he is rewriting the outcome in a way that will bring greater glory and deeper peace than you ever imagined. Silence does not mean absence. Waiting does not mean rejection. Delay does not mean denial. God hears every prayer. He sees every tear. He knows every hope you've been afraid to speak out loud. And when he waits, it is never because he doesn't care. It is because he cares too much to rush the process. If you are still waiting, it means God is still working. And if God is still working, then your story is not over. Number 3, God specializes in late starts and new beginnings. One of the greatest fears people carry quietly is this: it's too late for me, too late to change, too late to heal, too late to become who God once called me to be. But the Bible consistently dismantles that fear. God is not intimidated by late starts. He is not limited by age, history, or past mistakes. In many cases, he often begins his greatest work at the very moment humans would give up. Consider Moses. By human standards, his story should have ended in failure. A murderer, hiding in the wilderness. A man who lost his position, his confidence, and his voice. 40 years passed before God spoke to him. Again, 40 years of obscurity, 40 years of silence. Yet that was the moment God chose to begin Moses' true calling. Not in his youth, not in his strength, but in his weakness, humility, and surrender. God is never bound to your past timeline. He is not asking what you should have done earlier. He is asking whether you will trust him now. The enemy wants you to believe that your mistakes have permanently disqualified you, that lost time cannot be redeemed. But Scripture reveals a God who restores what was stolen, who rebuilds what was broken, who breathes life into dry places. God does not simply give second chances. He creates new beginnings that are often stronger than the original plan. Your story is not ruined because it started late. Your faith is not weak because it took time to grow. Your calling is not canceled because your journey looks different than you expected. God does not recycle lives, He redeems them, and redemption always looks like starting again with deeper wisdom and greater dependence on Him. If you are standing in a place that feels like an ending, God may be standing there calling it a beginning. He is not afraid of your age. He is not disappointed by your detours. He is not surprised by your past. He is the God who brings purpose out of ashes and futures out of failures. It is not too late, not for healing, not for obedience, not for becoming who God created you to be. When God steps in, too late turns into right on time. Number 4, comparison is the enemy of calling. Few things drain faith faster than comparison. You may not say it out loud, but you feel it, watching others move ahead while you remain where you are. Seeing their prayers answered, their lives progressing, their dreams unfolding, and slowly comparison begins to distort your view of God and your view of yourself. Comparison convinces you that God is fair to others but slow with you, that He favors some and frets others. But comparison has never revealed truth. It only reveals insecurity. The Bible shows us that God never repeats timelines. He never copies callings. He never mass-produces destinies. When David was anointed king, he did not step into the throne immediately. Years passed while someone else wore the crown. From the outside, it looked unjust. From God's perspective, it was necessary. David was being prepared privately before leading publicly. If David had compared his process to others, he might have missed his preparation entirely. Comparison pulls your eyes off what God is doing in you and fixes them on what God is doing through someone else. And when that happens, calling becomes competition. Gratitude turns into frustration, and trust slowly erodes. You are never meant to live someone else's life. You are never meant to carry someone else's timeline. God designed your journey with intention, not accident. The pace you are moving at is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of divine customization. Some lives bloom early, others bloom slowly. Both are beautiful, both are purposeful, both are necessary in God's kingdom. The moment you stop measuring yourself against others is the moment peace begins to return. You stop rushing what God is growing. You stop questioning your worth. You stop doubting your place, and you start trusting that the same God who guides their steps is guiding yours, just on a different path. Your calling does not require you to outrun anyone. It only requires you to follow God faithfully. And when you do, you will discover that you were never behind at all. You were exactly where God intended you to be. Number 5, God is working even when you can't see it. One of the hardest parts of faith is trusting God in seasons where there is no visible evidence of progress, no confirmation, no breakthrough, no clear sign that anything is changing. Just ordinary days, repeated prayers, and quiet endurance. And it is in those moments that doubt tries to convince you that God has gone silent or stepped away. But Scripture reveals something powerful. God does His deepest work in hidden places. Before fruit appears, roots must grow. And roots grow in darkness. There are seasons when God intentionally works beneath the surface, shaping your heart, refining your motives, strengthening your faith, long before He ever changes your circumstances. You may not feel Him, you may not hear Him, but absence of sensation is not absence of presence. Think about Elijah. After fire fell from heaven and miracles unfolded, Elijah found himself alone, exhausted and afraid. He expected God to speak in power again, but instead God came in a gentle whisper. Not in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the wind. God was still working, just not in the way Elijah expected. Sometimes God is quiet because he is close. When everything in you wants proof, God asks for trust. When you want answers, God builds endurance. When you want clarity, God strengthens dependence. Faith grows most when it is not supported by visible outcomes, but by the character of God himself. Just because you cannot trace his hand does not mean you cannot trust his heart. Even now, God is arranging things you will thank him for later. Conversations you don't know about. Delays that are protecting you. Lessons that are shaping you. Strength you will need for the next season. What feels like nothing is often God doing something eternal. Do not mistake quiet for inactivity. Heaven is not idle. God is working. Patiently, intentionally, lovingly, even when all you can see is waiting. Number 6, your current season is not your final chapter. When you are stuck in a hard season long enough, it begins to feel permanent. Pain feels like identity. Delay feels like destiny. And slowly, hope starts shrinking. But the Bible never presents struggle as the conclusion of God's story. It presents it as a transition. God never intended valleys to be destinations. Look at Ruth. Loss defined her life for a season. Grief, poverty, uncertainty. From the outside, her story looked like it had ended in tragedy. But God was not finished writing. What looked like survival was actually positioning. What looked like limitation was actually alignment. Your current season may feel heavy, repetitive, or confusing, but it is not the full story. It is one chapter, not the conclusion. God uses seasons to move us, not to trap us. Some seasons teach us obedience. Some teach us patience. Some teach us humility. Others teach us trust when nothing makes sense. And though they feel long while we're in them, they are never wasted. You are not stuck because God forgot you. You are being shaped for what comes next. The enemy wants you to believe that this is all there will ever be, that failure defines you, that disappointment is permanent. But God specializes in turning survival into testimony. What you are walking through now will one day be what you speak about, with gratitude. Do not judge the whole story by the hardest chapter. God is still writing, still moving, still unfolding purpose you cannot yet see. Your life is not stalled. It is progressing in ways that do not yet make sense. And when the next chapter turns, you will realize that even this season had a place in God's perfect design. Number 7, God finishes what he starts. There is a promise woven through Scripture that speaks directly to your fear of being unfinished, forgotten, or left halfway. God does not abandon his work. He does not lose interest midway. He does not begin something with intention and end it with neglect. What God starts, he finishes. Many people walk through life carrying the quiet anxiety that they will be the exception, that God will be faithful to others, but somehow not complete what he began in them. But the Bible never supports that fear. God's faithfulness is not selective. It is consistent. Look at Peter. He followed Jesus closely, yet failed publicly. He made bold declarations of loyalty and then denying Jesus when pressure came. If anyone looked like an unfinished story, it was Peter. But Jesus did not discard him. He restored him. He recommissioned him. And Peter became a pillar of the early church. Not because he was flawless, but because God was faithful. God's commitment to you is not based on your performance. It is based on his character. You may feel like progress is slow because you are measuring your life by visible outcomes. God measures by transformation. He sees growth where you see struggle. He sees faith where you see weakness. He sees obedience in moments you think don't matter. and every small step you take in trust is moving you closer to completion. God is not rushing the process because He is not unsure of the result. Even when you stumble, God does not erase the work He has already done. Even when you doubt, He does not revoke His promises. Even when you grow tired, He remains steady. Human relationships may end unfinished. Human projects may fail halfway, but God is not human. He is faithful to the end. Your life is not falling apart, it is being formed. And the same God who called you, who sustained you, who walked with you through every season, will also bring His work in you to completion. You are not a half-written story. You are a testimony still unfolding. Conclusion. If you take nothing else from this message, let this truth settle deeply into your heart. You are not behind, and God is not finished. You may feel late by the world's standards. You may feel pressure from expectations, timelines, and comparisons that never seem to quiet down. But God is not measuring your life the way people do. He is not counting years the way you are. He is looking at your heart, your faith, your becoming. Every season you've walked through, every delay, every detour, every waiting room moment has not been accidental. God has been present in all of it, teaching you, strengthening you, protecting you, preparing you. Release the need to rush. Release the fear that time is running out. Release the belief that you missed your chance. God's purposes are not fragile. They are not threatened by delay. They are not canceled by struggle. Right where you are, God is still writing, still shaping, still working in ways you cannot yet see. So breathe, trust again, keep walking. Your story is not over. Your calling is not expired. Your life is not an exception to God's faithfulness. You're not behind. God is not finished. If this message spoke to your heart, take a moment to pause right here. This channel exists for people who are walking with God, but sometimes feel tired, unsure, or quietly discouraged along the way. Not to rush you, not to pressure you, just to remind you of truth when faith feels heavy. If you'd like to keep receiving messages rooted in Scripture, messages that help you trust God's timing and stay grounded in His promises, I invite you to subscribe and stay connected. No urgency, no pressure, just a place to return to when you need to. Be reminded that God is still at work. Your story isn't over, your season isn't wasted, and the best chapters may still be ahead. Stay with us.